Hello guys, how are you doing? And welcome to the live stream. Yeah, so today we're going to do try to recreate some of these pieces here. Now let me just go take you through them. So there is this art piece. It's by Alexandro Tosca, and I think he made it with 3ds Max and Unreal Engine, and used some quick mixer or quick saw mega scan assets. And we're going to make it in Blender. So we're also going to make this piece here as well. I like this piece because it's kind of a large environment scene, which are things that you rarely see being done on YouTube. Most of the Blender scene creations that you usually see on YouTube are very small scenes. But this is a nice piece. It's kind of large and everything. Hello, Stanis is the one true king. How are you doing? I'm just going to call you that. And there's also this nice piece, and also try to create this for some variation. This piece as well for some lighting. It's just a great way to start learning some lighting and materials. Then we also have this piece here. I think the part I wanted to create was this, but instead I'll change this a bit so that maybe it's a church or something, and these would be tables instead of just being blocks. And then the last piece we're going to be creating today is maybe this piece here. Yeah, so let's set our timer, and let's begin with the bridge scene. This piece here. I'll set my timer at 20 minutes. Now that's how long I think we can create this. And let's get started by setting up the camera. I'm going to use the same aspect ratio as he used here. So let me reduce the sound of the music a bit. I can't hear myself. Okay, so this is what we have. We're going to use an aspect ratio of 1920 by 1020, like that. We can start by framing this. I would just, I think the best way to approach this is to have a mirror object. So I'm going to add an empty, since we have a lot of symmetry here. So I'm just going to add an empty like this. Then add a cube on this side. Go to edit mode or modifiers and add a mirror modifier. Select this as other mirror object, and now we can just go into this. Let me make sure that I'm viewing this through my camera. And maybe change the camera focal length to 25, so we get a wider view. Yeah. So how are you guys? How was everything been for you? How was your Saturday? So there is some construction going on in my neighborhood. So if you hear some noise, that's it. Okay, so we're going to scale this up like that. Morning, how do you find out what camera aspect ratio to just use? I just eyeball it, and it's actually not the same aspect ratio. Just try to get because I'm trying to also, I'm starting to post this on my social media, my Instagram and other things. So let me actually add that here. Social. Yeah, so that's why I'm kind of going for this square aspect ratio, because I want to post this on Instagram as well. So, and that's my Instagram. So, yeah, we can start texturing this. I'm going to use my texture folder add-on. So texture folder. I'll locate my PBR folder. I think I want to go to my tiles folder, and I look for some tiles. Okay, it doesn't seem like we have this kind of tiles, but I think we can just, let me go to a different folder, walls, see if I have some nice tiles that we can use. Or maybe let's go to Texture Haven and just download some textures. PBR tiles there, because I don't think I have any good tiles. So I'm going to go to Texture Haven to get some Texture Haven. Texture Haven to get some tiles. You can also find some cool textures from cc0textures.com. They also have some nice textures. Hi, bro. Nice to meet you again. Thank you, Pronoob. Glad to see you. Hello, Astrofabric. Glad to see you. Let's see. I want to search for Explore all PBR. I just want to search for textures. Let me look for tiles. And I think this first one is enough for what we want. Let me see. So a second one here. Let me also pick this and also get this. I think now I can add. Let's download JPEG. At least I will just use this one here because I don't want to spend too much time on this. Hello now, Waraj, Maga. How are you doing? Hello, Firefox. How are you doing? Let's also grab this here. And just get IDM. And grab these textures. Open folder. Open folder, grab these two and paste them in my resources folder, PBR tiles. Paste them here and extract each one. So extract that and extract this. Now I can go back to my texture folder under tiles and load as PBR, and I should have some new tiles. So let's test out this. Create a PBR shader. This looks fine. We just have to fix the scale. Let me just use object mapping. Apply the scale for this. And let me just scale this up, scale this down a bit, or scale the texture up a bit. I think to something like that. And then I can create the steps. Which should be quite easy. We can just use a single cube. Just extrude this. Extrude this down like that. I'm going to scale it down again like that, and then just use the array modifier. How much RAM do you have? You can type in !specs. Not like that, but specs like that to get my setup. So I'm just going to increase the count here. Let me make sure that I have like that, and on the Z axis as well. So I think it's supposed to go something like that. Now maybe we can make these walls even a bit taller somewhere, to some level like that, and maybe even thinner. Actually, it should be around the size that we have, like that. Just pull the camera back a bit, somewhere like that. Then I'm just going to use this second tile as the shader for this. Also make sure that I'm using object mapping as well. Hello Zigzag, how are you doing? Glad to see you. See you joining us. I'm gonna call this tunnel entrance. Good. Nice. Did you manage to add in, because you were saying you wanted to add in the spaceship into the other scene? Have you managed to do that? Because I would like to see some of that. So Let me just make sure. Let me add a bevel around this. Apply the scale. Hide the normals and turn on auto smooth. But bro, how can I get the render tab that you have, that you kept leftmost side? I mean this here. This is just a 3D view, and I'm just seeing this through the camera. Let me turn on ambient occlusion. So just have a 3D view and change it to the camera view. Turn on screen space reflections. And maybe we can work in cycles and then come back to Eevee. And we're going to use a sky texture. Sky background or sky texture, and you can have the rotation to something like 45, and then let me just make sure I'm only viewing also denoise, viewport denoise. This change this, we can set it to frame 10. And I like also to change, to go to my color management and play with the exposure a bit. Do you prefer sky texture or HDRIs? I prefer the sky texture, especially if I'm using cycles. If it doesn't support it, so yeah, it doesn't really work. I'm not fast as you, so give me some time. No problem, man. No problem. So I'm going to come to this. I want to make the sun come from this angle. So let's go back to the sky, and I'll change the elevation to about 50 at something like that. And I think we're going to need a platform at the top here. So I'm just going to grab a plane, scale it on the x-axis like that. And I think we need to extend this like that, and also we need a platform on the ground so we don't have any yes, scale this on the Y, and now we can use the same material as this. Ctrl L, link materials, apply the scale, and the roof, just so something like that. We still need to extend this, I think, further back, and we need another cube here just to block out the light. If we don't block it out, some light will bounce from the back and start to bleed into our scene. So bro, can I get your texture pack? You can get, I got mine from texture.com, and CC0 textures, so you can definitely get it from there. Okay, so let's make sure that the bump maps here are not that strong. I think the first thing I'm going to do is just get rid of the displacement and bring down the gamma and the exposure a bit. I think we can also raise the elevation again to maybe let's see 80. Let's try 60, and the sun rotation maybe to 90. Let's try 25, something like that. Now I also want to change the color of these just a little bit, so I'm just going to come into this and just get myself a different texture. So I'll go to my walls texture, make sure I don't load PBR. I'll just grab maybe something like this, import as a texture, import it like this, and just use it to blend the colors a bit more. So I'm just going to go to use object mapping, make sure this is set to box. Hello, Chrysocido. How are you? And I'm just going to blend these two together. Maybe use multiply, just so we can break up the materials just a little bit. Now let me see how tiled this is. I don't want it to be too tiled. Let's even maybe multiply it by 1 and then add a color. So want it to be similar to the same brown that we have there, so I'll use that as the base color for now. Maybe make it less saturated around there. Only 6 minutes. Yeah, we might have to reset the timer for that. So in the sun size, let's use something like 2 to have some bit of soft shadows. Okay, so let's pick up space maybe, so that we are not caught behind time. I'm not sure that's there. So we can add buildings at the back there, like they have here. So I'm just going to use my asset library. I have a bunch of buildings in my building pack, which you can also get from my add-ons page. Let me see if I can bring, let me see, can I bring this? I want to see the shadow of the building as well. Maybe add another building. Like that. Let me play with the exposure just a bit. And I think the aspect ratio is also a bit wider than this, or taller. Maybe you can play with the focal length. Maybe use a 30mm and just push the camera back. Just trying to get at the same brownish color they have here. 3 minutes left. Okay. Let's see. I can add in that detail as well. Just add a few loops like that. Then Ctrl B before this, extrude down. And maybe just bring these steps a bit down. Like that. Another thing that usually helps is we can add an area light around here. I think the other thing that is kind of not helping is the scale of my scene is too large, but that shouldn't be too much a problem. Let's just change this to maybe 10. Just at the entrance here, we can add another light, just so we have some light from there, and I think it is going to make things look even better. Will you change the color of the tiles and add some nice contrast? Let's do that. So change to what color do you think? I think the contrast comes from these here. So let's first add that before we change the color. So let me first add a plane, rotate it 90 degrees. We have this surface. We just have to give it a solidify modifier. And then bevel. That shade smooth, auto smooth. Then just turn on harden normals. 6 seconds, 4 seconds. Let me just reset the timer, and yeah. But in the next 20 minutes, we should be able to. We should be on another piece. Yes. The reference looks like a turn down. Yeah, I think that's post-processing, which we can add later. I'm going to go to the texture folder add-on again. Maybe at this time, let's just grab this texture, use that as the PBR, like that. And again, make sure that it's using object mapping. Just add color to it. Next RGB. Make sure this is using color. So something like that. And add a math node here just to control the roughness a bit. And we can use a mirror modifier. Mirror. Let me apply the rotation. And I want to use the empty that we have as the mirror object. And we can have something like that. Another thing, we also have this pipe here. So for that, I'm just going to grab this edge loop. And before I even do that, let me round off this corner here a bit. So something like that. Do you use mega scans? It's kind of free. Yeah, sometimes I do. And you see that in my project, some of the projects I have done on the live stream, I have used some Megascan assets. So just grab this edge loop, separate it like that. And we don't need the mirror or the bevel or the solidify. And just grab this edge, extrude it in the X direction like that, and just round off this corner. Ctrl Shift B. Let me first apply the scale. Ctrl Shift B. Just push that into the wall like that. Do the same on here, and then Ctrl Shift B again to round it off like that. Now all we are left with is just to convert this into a curve, and then under curves we can use geometry object, or we can just add a bevel to this. Shade smooth, and just make sure that give it a new material I'll just go to my Grunge maps and grab something like maybe some scratches like this, import as a texture, use that as my roughness, and make sure that I'm using object mapping. And then apply. I give this a maintenance value. Gee, the reference lighting and color looks so good. Yeah. The reference just destroys it. It's just looks amazing, especially the color palette they chose. Okay, so we have that, and I think we can increase that like that, and maybe even break this apart, break this somewhere in the middle there. Let me scale to active so that I can scale that like that. Then delete segment, grab these two, extrude them on the X to have a corner like that. Now I can mirror this using my empty. Now let's go back to the render. How do I get texture folder? It's an add-on that I made. You can just use exclamation mark add-ons and you see the list of add-ons that I used here. And if you get one, it's a nice way to support the channel. Okay, so let's try to match the same colors that he has here. So this brown here can be a bit browner, I guess. Yeah, something close to that. And I need to change the direction of the light. So what I'm going to do is first go to cycles here. I want to add a cube here, just scale it up because what I want is to get the sun to go into this direction. So we have shadows flowing like this. So let me go to my sun, see the elevation. Let's say if it's to 1, if it's 10, I will get that nice morning look. Let's get the rotation to be different. Let's try 50. Yeah, I think around 45 is good. We can change the elevation back to something like 25. If we go in here, so that's where the shadow is. Let's change the elevation to 45, 50. Maybe the rotation to 25. Somewhere there. Can get rid of this cube. That was just helping me align, set up the shadow and lighting. This piece here seems to be simply black. So let's create a new material for it. Oh, I can even just go into my texture folder. I have a lot of materials in here. Just going to go to decos. Now this piece here can just be this, can just use this wooden material. Let me just make sure that it's unwrapped like that. And this top piece also has some kind of railing on it. So let me just grab this, Shift D, extrude, maybe bevel these edges. Just a bit like that. And just make sure that this is using a different material, and that material can be the same as this, which is maybe something like that. And I think that with this kind of light coming in, I think the exposure outside has to be very, very bright. So what I'm going to do is just add a large plane like that, add a new material, and just use an emission shader on this. Give it a very high a material like that, and just give it, make sure that this is has no shadows. Let me see, does that even work? I think we would have to use the compositor. So let me go back to the here and just reduce the air in the scene, increase the intensity or strength of the fan. I like how the texture is coming out here. The reference textures are shiny. These ones are also shiny. They just don't have enough things to reflect, I think. That's the issue. Let's see. Let's try adding in our character. So let me go into my Megascans and I just bring this character, add to the scene. Bro, I made a forest scene with the road that you made rendering. Nice, nice. Can you post that in Discord? I will come back and I will come to that and I'll see if I can take a look at it. You get this girl here. Just make editable, give her a nice pose. Viewport in front. Just give her a nice pose. Just give her. Give her a nice pose. Yeah, that's the Discord server. If you want to post any of your work or just interact with the community, just turn on active element. Just rotate these. Yeah, rigging can be frustrating. So, yeah, mad respect to anyone who does it, because I do not like it. Yeah, so let's take a look at this. Maybe our character could just be sitting instead of standing, so just to make our scene just a little bit different, because the point is not to copy directly the other artist, it's just to get inspiration for inspiration purposes. Maybe let's have her looking the other way. Use Mixamo for posing. For posing or for rigging? Because Mixamo... let me just... something like that. Maybe... Actually, I don't like how this building is looking. Just grab this again. So we would need some fog, and I think we need to play with the color, or the colors a bit. And I think the camera angle is also a bit lower and looking up like that. Let's now play with the colors just to get it to look the same. High contrast. Something like that. And now let's go to the colors. I see that there is, can increase the red just a bit, maybe tone down the green. This is just a simple, quick way to do some colors, but of course it doesn't change using an actual coloring program for this. So this is without the colors, this is with the colors. I also started a YouTube channel after my 12th. Nice. I think the walls needs to be a bit thinner, maybe. Yeah. Now let's grab all these pieces, just bring this closer, bring the character closer as well. So I really want to overexpose the background here, the side here, but the only way you can do that is doing it in a compositor. I think also maybe. Just use a rectangle here. So of course you can add more detail to this, and maybe make the tiles a bit smaller. Okay, is it what we're changing? Have you ever made characters or done face sculpting? No, I rarely do that. I rarely do any character modeling. Okay, 3 minutes in. Hey bro, what's your PC specs? Just type in ! specs and they should come up. Yeah, so what is left is just post-production to get the image to look the same. Maybe cut off this shadow area here. I think the way we can do that is by adding maybe, let's try a cube. Let's try seeing if we can add an extra shadow. Because, yeah, something like that. See how that also adds some detail to this. Maybe give it the same material as this. Yeah, I think that looks nice. Let's go back to our curves here. Turn them off. That's how everything looks. And actually, I like this look because it looks a bit richer. And another thing I could do is on these tiles, they look too reflective. Dude, how are you handling all this in just 8 GB RAM? I don't know, man. A lot of people ask me that, but yeah, my PC I guess just handles this, and I don't know. It's add-ons like that. If you want to get, so I want to break up these reflections a bit. So I'm just going to grab this style texture and just go to my texture folder and import in this text as well. Just blend it with the roughness, which is this here. So let me look at this. Just make sure it's using object mapping and box. And just now I can just simply blend these two. So and I think we managed to achieve that in 40 minutes. I'm okay with that. We can add pipes and other things. Maybe even if you want, we can let me go to my asset library. We can go to, can you show my my cycle settings? I haven't changed much, except I haven't changed much here. Just turned on denoising and maybe the start sample to 10 so that denoising starts working only after 10 samples, not at the first sample, because that slows down. Now your art is matching the reference. Thank you. The other thing we could add in the last 4 seconds is okay, go. Yeah. I want to add some. I think in my city park I have a few things we could add in here. Yeah, we have these street signs, so I can maybe add it at the top there to hang, just as an extra thing, just like that. And what else? Maybe a trash can around there, just at the as you exit, so you stop, so there is not a lot of littering. Maybe actually we could have it somewhere here. I don't think it fits the scene. Anyway, 20 minutes is up. Let's go to the next scene. If you want the project files, it's going to be on my Patreon page, and you can get that via links. If you go to !links, you can see. And I'll also be posting this on my Instagram just to show you, and just for the sake of it. And I also, maybe let's try to look at how this is going to look in Eevee. So I would have to do a lot of things here to get it to look good in Eevee. So I'm just going to go to the next project. Again, for the reference image, you can just type in !website, and the first post that you see, or you see a post with the same name of the stream, that's where I'm going to post the reference images and credits to the artist, and also the final renders, wireframe, and everything we have done. The settings for the material, settings for the renders, and everything. So let's go to the next bit. Maybe create this scene. It should be a very quick scene, and I like how this material came up. So I'm just going to go to my asset library and save some of the materials we are using here, so that we don't have to remake them from scratch. Yeah, let me just. Okay, for some reason it's not rendering. Because it's rendering, but my exposure is way down. So let me just bring back this. Yeah, so that's the tiles material. So I'll just save it under my walls so that we don't really have to remake any of these textures in the next part. Just makes things much faster. Let me save this as well. Okay, so let's go to the next project, which is this here. I'll create a new project. And can start by setting up the camera. Bro, how can I get those window lighting? Window lighting? Which window lighting? Because so let's go with that 1920. Maybe this can be a bit less wide like that. This should be easy. Again, we're going to be using cycles for this. So just start with a ground surface. And we won't waste a lot of time. I'm just going to go to my texture folder add-on, and just look for some wood. I think I have some wood PBR materials. So let me look for those. So I'll go to my PBR wood link PBR, and let's get this, create PBR. Now this is going to be our surface. Let me rotate it 45 degrees. Rotate it 45 degrees, just so we have some, so that the texture is diagonal instead of, actually we can just do this in here. So I'm just going to rotate this 45 degrees, so that the texture is diagonal like that. I'm talking about sunlight path through window in the reference photo. Are this here? Oh, I'm going to show you. So let's start with a plane here. Now we're just going to trace out the wall. So I'm just going to grab this edge, extrude on the X like that. So we have the same, basically the same shape. Just then extrude the wall up. Just going to bring the camera closer. Somewhere like that. Extrude the walls. Give them a nice bevel, just to round off those corners a bit. Let me see what's going on with my internet. Okay, it seems like everything is okay. Yeah. Auto smooth, harden normals, and just reduce the bevel. Now let's go into cycles just to see how these things are looking. We can just use a sky texture again. For this, let's go to cycles. Cycles render. I'll use a GPU render and also turn on denoising. I'll call this room. Again, the project files will be available on Patreon. Just, I think somewhere like that. Make sure that I have viewport denoising on, and I want it to start at frame 10, so that is a bit faster. Now for the wall, I'm going to go to my, because I want this rough wall texture. I'm going to go to my texture folder. I'll go to my wall textures, and I look for some rough surface or rough texture, maybe something like this. I'll create a PBR using that. I'll just unwrap this. You can see how that looks. It looks too dirty, so what I can do is just add a convert. Actually, this also has to be unwrapped. I don't know. Okay. I can come back to this later, but this is too dirty, so I'm going to add a convert color ramp, and I just play with the colors to match what we have here. So you can even try sampling the color. Okay, so this is on a different page, so maybe just it's brown like that. Let's get something like that. Should work. Maybe invert this, make it a bit darker. Now let's play with the lighting to make sure that it's facing the right direction. So we have conic. This is how you get the light to have these shadows and everything. Why is the render preview so white? Yeah, because of the daytime we are using here. So we're going to change it, and the daytime should change as well, and the lighting should change as well. Could you show some simple 2D animation tricks of geometry figures, reshaping and animating vertex movements? I haven't done a lot of 2D animation, so I'm not sure. Okay, so let me grab this. So you can see the reason why the wall looks too pale, not in like here, is because of the time we're using, or the setting of the skies. So let's go into this view. You can see our shadow. We're actually viewing everything, and everything we are seeing is in the shadow. So let's rotate this maybe 45 degrees, actually negative 45 degrees. So that the shadow is coming from this, the light is coming from this side, maybe 90 or negative 90 to have the light coming from this side, but I don't want it to be exactly 90. Let's try negative 75 so that we have a slight angle to this. And actually it has to be maybe negative 45 or 45, because I want the light to hit on this wall. I forgot the timer, sorry. Thank you for reminding me. Maybe let's, so about 15 minutes maybe. Okay, so we want the light to rotate, so let's rotate this. Maybe let's start at 0. 20, it goes the other way. 20, negative 20, it goes this side. Let's try negative 45, negative 90, negative 95, yep, negative 200. Yeah, because I want the light to bounce directly here. And now for this side, we just have to add a wall. So I'll just extrude this. I'll have a wall like that. So if we go back to the render view here, and we also need just to surround the entire environment with walls. Like that, and this, we should also have a ceiling like that. Then we need windows. So that's where our light should come through. Just want to make sure that also the elevation might be a bit too high, or let's try an elevation of 10, 20, 30, and bring back our ceiling. That seems like, let me see where this light is. I just want to get the light to come through the window, but sometimes it can be very hard to get the right position. Let's try 0, 90, negative 90, yeah, negative 90, around negative 90, and then the elevation is what we should, that's 10, let's try 20, 30, I have this cube that shouldn't be there. 40, the sun is around there. 45, 35 is around there. Now let's change the rotation. Maybe should be negative 70. Let's say negative 100. Yeah, a light is good, but it's not going to give me the same detail of lighting that I want, because let's say I wanted to use, like you're suggesting, if I just use a sunlight, which is easier to control, and I think there should be a better way to control the light. You see, this is the sunlight, and basically that's what you get with it compared, and yeah, it's much easier to control because within a few seconds you can see that I've got the light where I want it to be. But the lighting doesn't look as good compared to this, which gives you a lot of bounce lighting and everything. If we change this maybe to negative 150, negative 110, 40. You know what? Let's try this because it's becoming a bit difficult. Let's try adding an empty like this. I'm trying to see if I can control this with just an empty and tie the elevation of this to the Z location using a driver. So I'm going to go to item. So this is the Z position. If we tie that, add driver, and just get the let me just see, add input, and I want to get the object the empty and get its Z location, and let's see if that will help control. If I turn off this, and let's just watch this figure and see if that changes anything. Doesn't seem to change. Let's open edit driver. So we are getting the location, update driver. Okay, it seems to move, but because we are moving this in these are degrees and these are not degrees, and these are meters, so that's why you see that the range is changing a bit. Anyway, let's just go with tweaking this manually. Just going to delete the driver. I wish there was an easier way to control this, because it's really difficult to get the right position. I want negative. Yeah, I think that's the position we want. I just want the sun to go a little bit this side, so let's try negative 100 or negative 125. So around there, negative 120, and we have that. So we have light coming through this window, and we can add this. So this looks like a barrel cone, and I already have that in my asset library. So let's see. I think it's under building parts. Building parts. Guardrail. So I have something like I have this here, and also have this. So let's start with this. So it just has to be a shadow. So that's how you add a shadow like that. It's just playing with the elements that are going to cast the shadow. And I think we don't need the array. And just scale this up, say something like this. Just duplicate it and rotate it 90 degrees. So we're just creating our own custom shadows like that. Bro, what happened to what does speakers do in Blender? Speakers do exactly what speakers do. So if you add a speaker, you can have it play music, and when the camera is closer to it, the sound of that speaker goes up. If the camera goes away from it, the sound also goes down as well. Okay, so let's see. You can even add this just to make this more detailed a bit, just to have a detailed shadow like that. So that's the wall. We also have this cornice. So I have cornices here. These are ceiling cornices, but they can work, I think, for this as well. I'm just going to add them like that. And I think I need to mirror this. Let me first go to object view. I need to mirror this on the Z axis, and this should be a bit flatter. and maybe, yeah, I think maybe some of these vertices can be pulled in just to get more detail in here. Scale this down. Yes. Yeah, that's how you play with shadows. Here I'm just going to use this, I don't know how it's called, shear. Just extrude this. Extrude this on the Y. Our reference have two windows. One is just a casting. One is just casting shadow on the floor. Oh, is it? Okay, this also does it may also not be a window, because this is a lot of light coming from the window. I can see the second window. It might be a door. So let's first add this cornice. Yeah, that's how that looks. And remember the materials we created? One thing I need to do is make sure that this here is thick. Now let's add a chair. After that, I just go into my library, Acquis library, and I have a bunch of chairs. So these are beds, chairs, chairs, sofa seats. Which one should we go with? I think we can go with this. It's the closest to that. Add that to the scene. I want part of it to be in the sun like that. Now maybe even change. I can go to the colors here, color management, and this is more white. Ours is a bit pale. Yeah, like you said, it seems that we have another window somewhere here, so I'm just going to add that around here, and maybe split this like that. Again, it seems we have to play with the light yet again, because look at where this is going. And another thing I wanted to play with is the colors, because ours has that brown tint or yellowish tint. So I'm just going to go to the blue channel and just bring it up a bit, and maybe bring down the red channel. Somewhere like that. Only 3 minutes left. Yeah. Also going to maybe make this editable so that we can play with the materials of this. Just make sure that it's white as well. And this cloth here, I'm just going to extend it so that it's somewhere here. Let me use a different fabric. So I'm going to go to my, let me just link. Actually, this is a different. Let me just go back to my library, City Park, Acquis Park. See what other objects we can add in. I have 1 minute remaining. We spent half of that time just trying to align the shadow, so that's kind of not my fault. Anyway, so I'm just going to add. I don't know. We have used these quite a lot. Let's see what can we add. Picture frames, maybe this picture frame somewhere. And maybe change the color of this. I can use a color hue and saturation. I guess you can use a sun lamp for the other window. Yeah, you know what? Instead of a sun lamp would just add another shadow. So what you're saying, if I added a sun lamp, so I actually even have a light here that is not supposed to be there. If I added a sun lamp, which is on the wrong side, how we don't have a window there. If you added another sun lamp, it will just, the shadows will have a different angle from what we have here. But I guess maybe that doesn't matter. If I made these, yeah, I think that can also work. No one can really tell that the angle of the shadow is not really matching. Maybe use a value of 20, 100. Yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter that much. You can use the sun in that area. And maybe scale down this. And this here, I want it to be less saturated. Ran out of time. Let's add maybe another 5 minutes, and we can go to the. No, not 5 seconds. 5 minutes. I can stop. I can type anytime here. Let me just reset. Yeah, 5 minutes. And let's see, what else can we add? Just add more decorations. Just reduce the saturation of this. Maybe you can have the saturation back, but just play with the hue. And yeah, we can give it that pinkish look. Just move the camera off the and this is going to be just the same material as this, just white. Then let me go into my lighting. Just first turn off the curve. That's how everything looks. If I bring down the exposure, yeah, something like that. Let me just reset everything here. Okay, so what else can we add in these few minutes? In the decals, that's all we have. Picture frames, plants. Have this plant pot. Maybe let's add it. Add it somewhere there, and this bush. Okay, then I just crushed. Let's see, other than plants, I have a table here, a small table I can add in. Hello, Pathy. Maybe a lighting lamp on the roof. Okay, I think I have that somewhere. Have this table though. I can add now. It's a nice fancy table. Let's go under collection, and I'm just going to grab this pot, add that plant. So a small plant, and maybe this here can be added. So which way I want to send my profile to you? You can post that on the Discord server. Just type in !, Discord. Yeah, let's see what else can we add in this 1 minute. You have a cup. Then we can also add in this seat just to obscure part, to frame the scene just a bit. I'm just going to add in this closer to the camera, like a silhouette. The table is looking like a guitar picks. Yeah, I got it from I got a reference to the tables from a site. I don't really remember it. It looked interesting, so I did it. Yeah, so 50 seconds, and I think I'm going to call this done for now. The final render will be available on this page here for everything we have done. The final image and the steps, render settings, everything, even the project files, if you want to look at them, I'll be posting that on that page. A bit of depth of field. And for this scene, with this camera framing, I'm not sure if I would have depth of field in this. Anyway, time is out. Yeah, I don't think depth of field would work here very well because maybe let's focus maybe on the cup. 0.1. Yeah, you see, it makes the scene really look small. So yeah, that's done. I think we can do this last. It's also this. Yeah, this has also some interesting lighting that I wanted to test. Looks good. Thank you. Thank you. There's a lot of amazing art pieces on ArtStation, and I'm just trying to get some inspiration from that and learning some different types of lighting and things like that. I think we can do this and this here, and we don't have to start from scratch with this one. Since we have just made the tunnel entrance, which looks kind of identical to this, we don't have to really do everything from scratch. So I'm just going to Shift S and just call these steps, and just change this a bit. Steps. We don't need any of these buildings now, and we don't need the character as well. You don't need the character as well, not the shoe either. Yeah, so let's go back to cycles. So we're just going to reuse the same thing, but this time we don't even need to use the sky texture. So environment can be just removed like this. So fantastic and amazing. Thank you. What is the best way to go about making a photorealistic planet in Blender texture wise? A photorealistic texture is going to also have to do with how the planet looks geometrically. Like you can't just use textures. You also need the actual displacement in the planet if you want it to look realistic, because textures can look a bit plain. So if you add some displacement to it, it would look even much better. So we're trying to create these steps, and I'm just going to duplicate this. And I think, actually, you know what? This should be very easy because we have most of the work done. Let's first go in here. I'm just going to use another array in the Y. and should match the last step like that. Just move it forward, something like that, and then a third one like that, and we just need another platform like this face, and I can just also just bring it, just duplicate it. Oh, thank you. Timer, we need to reset this to 20. Yeah. Then this is going to still be our roof. Also, we can get rid of the lighting for now. Grab this face, pull it up. Okay, just grab this face, pull them up, and then grab this like this. Now this can be the wall on this side. This is really easy to set up, I think. Just under 20 minutes might be even a lot for this. Then I can just I think I can just duplicate this. If you go to the render, because we have no light currently also in the world settings, we can just simply turn off the light completely like that. Now most of our light comes from these pieces here, so those can simply be planes like this with an emissive material. So shader, emission shader, and our camera has to be rotated slightly up to kind of see this. Reference has different focal length. What kind of focal length do you think it has? It has maybe a tighter focal length like this. Just pulled back. But reference texturing is so photoreal. Yeah, we're going to try and get it to look like that as well. So let's use something like 100. 100 is a lot. So, and the walls are also too tight. So let's just grab everything that makes up the wall and just move it. So we maybe make this wider a bit. These also need to be duplicated to be on the rest of the building. So something like that. Now to texture the wall, let's actually do this in Eevee. The first thing we're going to do is get rid of, let me first hide the modifier for a bit so that I can just look at it from this angle. The first thing we're going to do is get rid of the tiles. So remove them like that. I'm going to use my texture folder to navigate to my folders. So texture folder, just start with, I think if I go to my walls, I have some concrete wall that has details like that. Do I? Maybe something like this, create PBR. Just make sure it's using object, apply scale. Yeah, so yeah, details like this, I think they kind of match a bit. Maybe just stretch them on the X a bit. Something like that. So that's going to be our starting point. Then what I can do is just grab another texture, maybe something like this, import as a texture, and if I preview this, it's using object mapping. It should also be using object mapping, sorry. Just make sure it's like that. Let's repeat it. Yes, somewhere like that. I'm not worried about these seams a lot because we're just going to blend this over the other. So I like that. A 35 to 50 millimeter maybe, and the camera is facing up at an extreme angle. I see. And I think the aspect ratio also helps a lot. So it's let's just use a 10. Sorry, the dimensions 1920 by 1080. Just rotate it up quite a lot, and maybe, yeah. Yo, thank you for subscribing, Prabhu, Jack. Thank you. Okay, so we want to change this to overlay. So we have that dirty detail also coming in. Let's try multiply. Nearly the same results. Maybe overlay would be better here. Now then we can just use this as the base color, and let's look at the wall now. It's too rough, so I'm going to add a math node just to play with the roughness a bit. So that's how it's looking. So that is still too rough or too reflective. So I'm going to go to my grunge maps and get myself something like this. Import it. Again, I want to make sure that it's using object mapping. And just blend that with the roughness we have, and that should help break up the roughness a bit. Bring back the mirror modifier, and this wall should also have the same material. Apply scale, and you just reset the origin to geometry. Like that. It seems the camera is not seeing the back side, so let's increase the clipping to 200. The camera is also looking way up, and this light is extremely big like that. I can duplicate this a few times. I think the camera is wide camera, I think. Let's try 25. And these can be a bit darker. Same with this. Just change to multiply. And I think other walls need to be a bit rougher, less reflective. One thing you will notice about these are the lights here. I think if we go to Google and search for umbrella lights, umbrella light textures, we can get some nice umbrella lights. So this would work, but it's yeah, I think we can try this. Let's see what else. Yes, let's try. The original has a converging perspective to it. Can it be replicated? Yeah, that we can. You'd have to use the compositor if you want to replicate that. I want to get some nice light texture in the lights, just a bit, maybe something like this. I'm just going to grab this light and add this texture. So actually I need the texture to be scaled up and not repeat. Let's use object mapping and make sure that this is set to extend, and then center this, and then scale it up just to have some text, some nice detail in the lights. And now we can use this as the emission strength. Actually, we can use it as the color, and the emission strength we can control directly. I think the lights are called fluorescent lights. Are they? And fluorescent lights just tubes, or am I mistaken? So let's play with the colors now, because I think we are. Let's play with the this, and this has a nice tint to it, so a bluish tint. So we can also give it the same tint. Let's see, 10. Something like that. Yeah, it has that matrix feel to it. Maybe we can even add a door. I have 7 minutes, so I'm just going to the asset library, and I think in my furniture pack I have some doors. I just need to go to add. Do I? Yeah, in my furniture pack I have some doors. So which one should we use? This. Let's try this and see. It's going to add it there. Where is it? Origin to geometry. A nice matrix effect. Maybe raise these pipes up a bit, these handrails. And maybe scale these as well. Yes. Cycles should also have emission, I think. Cycles should have. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean there. Should have emission. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean. And we can go to the collection, mega scans, and I'll add some. I will add this guy here. And just to keep things interesting, also add another guy. It's kind of like a face-off, you know. And I like how there's some rim light on him. He's making about bloom, I think. He's talking about bloom, I think. Oh, bloom. Yeah, Cycles doesn't have bloom, I think. I have to do that in post-processing or post-process. Is it whatever it's called? Yeah. So I like how that rim light on this guy, but I want to make it more exaggerated. So I'm just going to add a light in front of him, and area light like this, and just. No, actually, I think it's much better if it's like that. And we have our matrix standoff. So in Eevee, let's see how this looks. Yeah, so because Eevee doesn't support mesh lighting, you'd have to replace these lights here with some lights. But to achieve a look, unless if you have other suggestions, we can go to the next piece. Okay, and why is this not rendering anymore? Yeah. Okay, so we can go to the next piece, and that would be. Yeah, this is nearly the same. And I can stop the time. Yeah, I know, but glare node is not as the same as Eevee Bloom. Yeah, Eevee Bloom is looks way much better, I think, compared to the glare node. And unfortunately, Cycles doesn't really have that. We have that piece. I also have that piece. There's also this piece. This is nearly identical to that. But we also have this piece here. There's a lot of volumes, which can be a bit hard to do. So let's open a new project and see if we can get them to do, if we can do them. And the great thing is that since we saved the textures we were using, actually we didn't. Let me go back to this steps project and get all the materials I have used here, so that we can use them in this project without having to create everything from scratch. So I like the wall, so I'm going to add it to my library. Let's go to the materials category. I'll call this wall, render the preview. Let me just remove the color correction we have. Reset the exposure and the light so that I get a nice preview. Save. Same for this. I think this we have already saved. Bruh, volume scatter is giving me just black. Yeah, if you're using it in the world set, yeah, I think there is a bug for that. Yeah, reset timer. Okay. Get a new project and start the timer. Yeah, so this other plane, apply scale. 43 viewers, 44 likes. Thank you a lot. If you haven't liked, it would really help support the channel and the stream if you did. So let's go to the asset library. I think I saved this. I'm not even I don't remember what category I saved this in. I think you should tweak the density setting. Yeah. If the volume is actually, there is a bug depending on what version of Blender you're using. When you're using Cycles, volumetrics just render black. And I've encountered that bug myself. Let's add a circle, just reposition the camera around here. I'm going to use a wider angle, maybe 30 millimeters. Pull it back. Hi, how are you doing? Yeah, and thank you guys for liking, and I'm seeing the likes coming through. If you're also new as a subscriber, if you're a new person here and you'd like to subscribe, that would also be amazing. So let's extrude, just create this detail here. Then just going to flatten this part like that, and this part like that, and this part like that, because I don't like to use booleans. Just going to extend this, extend that. I'll switch to cycles again. Just remove the world material, and I'm going to apply. Okay, this I can give the wall. I can give this material. Apply the scale, and maybe just actually I have a different material that I was using. I think it's in the library. I'm not sure. I wasn't really focusing when I was saving, so I don't remember what category I saved this in. Maybe I saved this in the city park, building park. Nope. Let's see, city park walls. Yeah, it's this here. I'm trying to make some good 3D pics, but my PC takes hours to render them with 200 samples. Have you tried the new cycles? Try the new cycles and see. This is going to be tunnel. I don't know. Something. How do you find motivation to make something in Blender almost every day? Well, I guess it has become a hobby, so I don't really need motivation anymore. I just love doing it, so it's just becoming a habit, like an addiction. So I don't think too much about it anymore. We want to use. We can't use a sun, but a point light also won't do. An area light with a disk, maybe. Disk or ellipse. Yes. Give it a lot of samples. Make sure you're using GPU, denoise, and I think we are already somewhere in this piece. Sadly, Cycles is not as fast as they exaggerated. Yeah, so the only thing I have found Cycles X to be useful in is that there is this setting, a time limit. You can time how many seconds each frame can render for. So if you just want to cut off the frame, so you can basically determine how long your render can take. Otherwise, I haven't really seen that much difference with the previous cycles. But my PC doesn't support 2.8 or higher. Extreme. What kind of PC do you have? Is it like what kind of PC would not support? It must be a very old PC then. So yeah, let's look at volumes here. So I'm just going to add a cube like this. And let's see if we encounter the same bug. So I'm going to use a shader principal volume. I think it's already looking nice, and even faster than I thought. Maybe Cycles X is actually faster, because actually I need to extend this. You know what? I take it back. Cycles X might be faster than I thought, because Yeah, rendering this kind of volume in the previous version would, maybe I'm not remembering well, it would have taken some time. I mean, we're not really rendering a lot here. Let's try point 0.05, something like that. If this maybe let's try, okay. Your light doesn't have a fall off. As I don't think Cycles supports fall off. Cycles doesn't have a fall off setting, I think. I can see there is no fall off. You just have to reduce the light itself. Oh, what we can do, because I like the fade here that we're having, the fall off of the volume as well. So what I can do is just fake it using some gradient. So texture gradient, and let's go in Eevee and look at this gradient from there. And this gradient right now is coming from this side, but let's try using a spherical gradient and just use object mapping. I'm just going to add an object, an empty here, and use that as the object to control the position of our gradient. So now I can bring this, you see where it is, scale it up, and you can see. So just scale it up like that, somewhere like that. And now we can use that as maybe the density. Let's go to, and you can see now we're getting that the same fall off. And just make sure that this is set to wireframe. You see, we're getting the same fall off. I think this scene is easy, but at the same time so frustrating. Yeah, I think it's easy, but if you have some experience creating something like this, I think we can also go to the volume again and just make sure this is bright. Also, just make sure that we have a convert color ramp here after the gradient, so that we can control the density itself. Actually, what we can do is just use color mix RGB and use this as a factor. This has to be black, and if we bring it up, you see how we control the contrast there. Can control the density as well, like that. You see, I think my density is quite high for what I like. So let's see. I want this to be around that. Yeah, it's frustrating because you have to tweak a lot of settings, which you don't really expect. So let me add a math node here. Nice Blade Runner look. Thank you. I can multiply. I want to have a way to kind of control the amount a bit here. Yeah, so something like that is, I think, is enough. Another thing we can add is maybe another light here. I would have preferred if this didn't contribute to the volume, but yes, that's not possible. That setting is only available in Eevee, I think. Let me shade smooth, auto smooth. Now, we also can just reduce the scale of these tiles a bit. Something like that. Add our character. I don't have a robot, but what I have is what I have in my Megascans collection. So let's get this character again. Add him here. And just again, this light seems to still be quite big, quite a lot. The volume is still a lot. I'm not even able to see the character. So let me try again using a car ramp here. Just bring this value a bit down. So it seems when I bring it down, we still see, oh yeah. So something like that. And now just reduce. Doesn't seem to work out to what I wanted. Seems I'm losing the fall off if I I want the fall off, but it seems I'm not able to get the fall off if I add anything below that. Maybe let's bring the anisotropy up, or just reduce it like that. Yeah, Blender lights don't have, Eevee lights don't have a fall off setting. At least, yeah, I don't think they have. They don't have a fall off setting anymore. But the Blender internal render had fall off settings. And maybe this can be made a bit wider to let in more light. The volume density is still a bit too high. Bring this guy around here. Can barely see him. So that's with just the density 8.01. Me bring the light a bit down, maybe. Well, that's important to have in a 3D package. Yeah, it's not there. There is no fall off unless if you're using IES lights. IES lights, I think, have a fall off depending on the light itself. But yeah, this doesn't. Let's go to Botanic to start populating some leaves like we have here. Also, if it has a fall off setting, I think, but it's not really like a fall off. It's just a cutoff point. You just have to play with the offset. But I guess that's similar to a fall off. I remember cycles used to have the inverse something fall off, but yeah, it's gone now. Maybe, I don't know. Let me see. Maybe it does have a fall off. Maybe if you're using nodes. So this is our light. Let me first also get rid of the sun. This. Let's see if we use nodes and just use a curve. So would that work even? Input. Yeah, I think you can create your own fall off using some of the settings you have, some of the inputs you have here. So like let me see, attributes for now, layer weight. There are a lot of shaders that have to do with light path, ray length here. Let me see if ray length will do anything for the strength. Nah. Anyway, the direct way to add a fall off is not there. And that's what I was trying to fake using this empty, but it seems when I add that, it becomes a bit harder to control the actual density. You see, now it's becoming too dark, or too the density is becoming a very dark, and we're losing a lot of light. And when I try to add a gradient, which I would hope, actually that controls that. That's actually what I wanted. You can see how our curve here, our empty here, creates a gradient, and actually that's what I wanted, because it can add that fall off there. So let's position the gradient there, the curve here. And also I want to reduce on the intensity of this. I can scale this up. So we kind of have a fall off like that, but it's too abrupt, so maybe just make it something like this. And I think we might need to add a plane in the back here just to overexpose at the back there. So I'm just going to give this an emission shader. Emission. Timer. Bro, are you using cycles? Or if this time we are using cycles for this. Yeah, something like that. I'm not getting the same fall off as he's getting, but yeah, we might not be able to do that. So let's add more stuff. Another thing we can add is some particles on the ground here. So I'm just going to create a cube, round it off. Let me first go back to Eevee for a second. Now with this, I think we can just reduce the subdivision levels down. Bro, does GTX 1080 support real-time denoising? Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm using here. It's a GTX 3GB 1060 graphics card, and yeah, it does support viewport denoising. So let's just create a few rocks, and a nice way to do that is just to create something like that, like this, and we can even use is it called a decimate or a remesh modifier like this. After, just so we can get some nice looking blocks without doing a lot. So remesh again, remesh, and then we can use a decimate modifier just to reduce on the polygon count while retaining the shape. So just keep these, Control L, link modifiers. Now we can apply visual geometry. Now these are going to be our stones. Now we can give them the material as this. They're going to be too small to recognize, for us to recognize that they're using the same material. Maybe you should make the planet next. Well, not in this stream, because a planet scene would require a lot of preparation. So these are going to be our stones, and we want them to be scattered on this ground. Light naturally has fall off, and almost every 3D software has and should have a fall off. Well, yes, this Cycles lights also have a fall off, a natural fall off. So the further the objects are, the less they are going to be illuminated by that light, or the further the distance, the more the light kind of falls off or reduces. That's a fall off. It has that, but you don't really have a setting to change to different fall offs, because I remember there was a linear fall off, there was inverse something fall off, and there were different types of fall offs you could choose from. Those were taken away, and you can't do that anymore for some reason. Use rock generator built in. Yeah, I can use that, but I've already made the rocks, and it's much faster to do it like this. So hair particles, this should be in a collection called rocks. So render, we're going to go to render collection and select our rocks collection like that. We're going to have a bunch of them, but we want only about 500, and we want them to be scattered only where the camera is seeing. And one thing we can do is just, I don't know if that's going to help, but just move them so that the pivot point is nearly at the bottom like that. So we can also turn on advanced rotation and give them some random rotation. Randomize the rotation, randomize the phase, randomize everything, randomize the scale. And under children, we can turn on simple, just increase play around with the random scale and also the radius. Now if we play with the round, it's also going to move some particles up, which is not what we want. So around like that. And I still think that some of these particles have to be a bit up. Actually, only these particles should be moved up just like that. Maybe move down. Okay, then we just play with the scale. And randomize. Now let's look at this. I think it just adds some nice detail to the ground. The rocks seem to be a bit too light, so let's scale them down a bit, maybe to something like 0.002. Okay, that crashes Blender. I don't even think I was saving that, but let's see. Yes. Bring this. So we have some particles on the surface, but again, we need to scale them down, which crashes Blender again. So I think we can get rid of the particles for now and just add them later. Bro, do you use 2 monitors? I actually use 3. What would be this third one is just my laptop. I can't really stream on 1 monitor, man. It's just too difficult. Even 2, you would struggle. I'm not touching the particles again. Let me first actually disable them for now, because they're kind of crashing Blender. Now let's add some trees. I think these dust particles are added afterwards, maybe with Photoshop or something, because they're kind of hard to add in directly using Blender. Let's add some grass. Some trees like this. Add it. Maybe somewhere there. Maybe you should scatter them with geometry nodes. Yeah, that requires a lot of setup. Let's add the tree. Even some trees in the back here, I think, just to break up the shadow a bit and have something in the back there to look at. Use scatter add-on for particles. Oh yeah, I remember. Okay, so I think the targets can be the plane, and then you select the particles, then add them. That would scatter trees. I would scatter link collection to scene. Yeah, I think the scatter add-on can do that very well, but let me non-preserve density. Let's just add some particles, some grass particles. Let me see without. Okay, this is turning out even harder than I expected. Anyway, I'm going to end the stream here. We have made a few projects. Maybe let me show you what we did previously, because I was rendering some of that, and I'll also do a final render of this tomorrow. So this is what we did. Okay, this is what we just did now. But yesterday we did, let me see, this arch. And I was trying to render it. I rendered a few frames in cycles. The denoising is still kind of meh. But yeah, I only used, I was rendering each frame at 20 seconds or 30 seconds, I think. That's what I set up in Eevee, in cycles. Then I also created this, we also created this gel scene. I've tweaked the lighting a bit off stream just to add in some slight animation, have the chair floating in the air, and switch the lights like that. That's what we made yesterday. What else? We also created this lighting scatter scene, which I managed to render. It's distorted. So I rendered this, I think, in Eevee. Yeah. Just get the right scale. So yeah, this was rendered using Eevee, and we created it yesterday. It looks way better in cycles, I think. Acoustics do make a lot of difference. Yeah, they do, but they also add a lot of render time. Let's see what else. Yeah, we created this Blade Runner effect, or Blade Runner scene, and I think it also came out looking good. That's the scene in Eevee and in cycles. Okay, so for this, it looked way better in Eevee than in cycles, as you can see. Yeah, and that's going to be it for now. Thank you. I'll see